Radharani Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So somehow in Juhu schedules for Bhakti Vaibhav, it was always mentioned, it was never mentioned Bhakti Vaibhav classes. It was always mentioned Bhakti Vaibhav meetings. So today, finally it has become meetings.
And also the best use of this conference hall.
Okay, let's continue our discussions on Canto 5, Chapter 5, Lord Rishabdev's teachings to his sons. Okay, somebody can summarize what we discussed so far? We already summarized at the end of the class yesterday. Kurma Kripa Prabhu is about to say something.
I'm just recalling.
You say whatever you know.
So in first verse, Rishabdev says that comparing with the Vidu Bhujam, that our life should not be like that. We should not endeavor for sense gratification, but for tapo divyam, divya tapasya, we should do.
Correct. Then?
And then
How to perform tapasya?
yes, and
That is one point I heard.
What you heard? I didn't hear what you heard.
Tapasya should be performed under the bona fide authority.
Okay. Who's that bona fide authority?
Spiritual master, guru.
No, what the verse says.
Mahatmas.
Yes, the Mahatmas. Qualified Mahatmas. And then he's telling what are the qualifications of the Mahatma. That he's telling. Then after that?
One should not do the activities which are not to be done. This is Yoshitam Sandhi Sangha.
Right. So, right association. So, one must have the right association. Then one will be able to perform the right type of tapasya, then make spiritual progress. And so, if one doesn't have the right type of association, then one is likely to do. Yes, vikarma. Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma yad indriya priteya apranoti. That is not the purpose of the human life. Okay, then after vikarma, next is?
Mad.
After vikarma, what he spoke about?
Sense gratification.
Oh, that is vikarma. Then next? Yes, pious activities. So somebody may say, okay, I'll not perform vikarma, I'll do pious activities, material pious activities. But what will be the result of that?
Entanglement.
Yes. So material pious activities also will lead to bondage. So then he came to the stage of? Then he came to the stage of? Gyan. Yes, Bhakti Mishra Gyan. But there also there is problem. What?
We get attracted to monism, attach it to the impersonalism.
Okay, that is impersonalism, yes. Then another, what is another main challenge with the process of Gyan?
That liberation.
Huh? Yes, so the ahankar, the mithya ahankar, the hard knot, hridaya granthi, that does not go away, even by practicing Gyan. So then he speaks the famous verse, Pumsastriya mituni bhavamaitam tayor mito hridaya grantim ahu ato griho kshetra sutapta vitter janasya mohoyam aham mameti. So one is caught up with this aham mameti. So that is the ninth verse, and then yes, then the only solution is one should come to the platform of bhakti, pure devotional service, and then the verses from 10 to 13, he describes the process of pure devotional service, beginning with? Yes, taking shelter of a Paramhamsa Mahatma. Right, and then all we discussed from the, we also discussed from? Yes, Sanat Kumar's teachings to Prithu Maharaj. Yes,
Krishna personally comes to untie the knot.
yes, at the level of prema. Correct. And then after that, after coming to bhakti, then what one should do? Yes, then one has to teach others. So that's the responsibility. Teach others the process of bhakti. So that's what he speaks about, taking the responsibility for one's dependents, subordinates. And one should continue to give instructions. How? Even if they don't follow? Yes, one should not get angry, but one should continue to give instructions. And if one is not able to perform one's responsibilities as mother, father, spiritual master, king, the main responsibility is what?
To deliver.
Yes, to deliver them from the cycle of birth and death. If one is not able to do that, one should not take up the responsibility. So that was the last verse we saw.
We have seen examples of.
Yes, we saw examples for all of them. Okay, now coming to the last section of the chapter, from the 19th to the 27th verse. So, he spoke about performing bhakti. So, bhakti has to be performed to whom? So, the connecting question is, where is the Lord to whom we should perform bhakti? And where is the devotee whom we should serve in order to attain bhakti? Okay, so therefore he is describing the Lord, which is He Himself. He Himself is the Lord. So he is describing Himself. We have to do bhakti to the Supreme Lord. Okay, let's recite. Idam shariram mama durvibhavyam satvam hi me hridayam yatra dharmaha prishte krito me yadha dharma arad ato himam rishabham prahur aryaha. My transcendental body, Sachidananda Vigraha, looks exactly like a human form, but it is not a material human body. It is inconceivable. I am not forced by nature to accept a particular type of body. I take on a body by my own sweet will. My heart is also spiritual, and I always think of the welfare of my devotees. Therefore, within my heart can be found the process of devotional service which is meant for the devotees. Far from my heart have I abandoned irreligion, adharma, and non devotional activities. They do not appeal to me. Due to all these transcendental qualities, people generally pray to me as Rishabdev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the best of all living entities. Okay, so he's describing to whom to perform bhakti, the Supreme Lord, He Himself. So, idam shariram mama durvibhavyam. Srila Prabhupada in the lectures on this verse especially focuses on this word, durvibhavyam, inconceivable. So, the Lord is not so easy to understand. The Lord is inconceivable. So, what are the various inconceivable aspects of the Lord? Why we say Lord is inconceivable?
Activities, Lord's activities are inconceivable.
Inconceivable. Why? Why they are inconceivable? Give some examples.
Kunti Maharani says,
Ah.
isn't the Vidambanam?
What is Vidambanam?
You are Supreme Lord, Supreme Controller, but you are controlled by your devotee.
Example? Damodar Leela. Okay. Okay, some other examples. Inconceivable nature of the Lord. Okay, same example. Huh? Okay, he is Aja. So he is unborn, but unborn takes birth. Inconceivable. Yes. Then? Some other examples? Okay, he is within and without of? Okay. Okay, he is within the universe, he is outside the universe. Okay. He is Atmaram. He not only hankers for butter, but he steals the butter. Makhan chor. Yes, he became driver. Supreme Lord becoming driver. Some other examples? Yes, the absolute truth speaks lies. When?
saying that he has not eaten mud.
Okay, he said, I didn't eat mud. Yes. And rather, he is telling Yudhishthira Maharaj to tell lies. Hmm? Yes, he breaks his own vows to keep the promise of his devotee. And what is our philosophy called? Yes, Achintya Bheda Abheda. So it's Achintya, inconceivable. So the Lord is not so easy to understand. I think so. We told this past time before also. His Grace Burijan Prabhu tells the past time when he was in Melbourne. Srila Prabhupada gave the class, and in the class, Srila Prabhupada spoke about giant eagle birds. Later on in this fifth canto, we'll read about giant eagle birds which fly from one planet to the other and pick up elephants to eat. And while they're flying from one planet to the other, they lay eggs in space, and the young ones come out of the eggs in space. So Srila Prabhupada spoke that at the end of the class, one devotee, little hesitatingly, he asked, Srila Prabhupada, do such birds exist? And what did Srila Prabhupada say? Yes, good. Srila Prabhupada said, what can you understand? You're still in the womb of your mother. So you're still a kid. What can you understand? So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he very often says, what can we understand with our tiny brains, little intelligence? What can we understand? Yet we think we should understand everything. And unless we understand everything, I will not accept. So this is arrogance on the part of the living entity. So therefore, the first principle to progress in spiritual life is amanitvam, humility. Krishna says, right? Amanitvam. The first principle is humility. So when one is humble, one will first of all accept that I cannot understand everything. In fact, I can hardly understand anything. Srila Prabhupada himself gives examples. I cannot even understand how after eating the food gets digested, how it is turned into blood. I cannot understand. So what is our capacity to understand? It is so limited. Even in this material universe, at night I look up and I see millions of stars. Have the scientists been able to find out? No. What is visible also they cannot say what it is. Then what to speak of what is beyond? So many things are inconceivable. We cannot understand. And therefore, what is happening within the universe, what is happening outside the universe, and what to speak of the spiritual world, everything is inconceivable for us. So therefore, as devotees, it's very important to have that humility. The humility that my understanding is very, very limited. And we have quoted this statement also quite a few times from Srila Prabhupada's purport to Ishopanishad invocation. Famous statement. What is that? Yes. All forms of incompleteness are due to incomplete understanding of the complete whole. So we see incompleteness. Incompleteness means we see mistakes, correct? We think so many mistakes are happening. This one is committing mistakes, that one is committing mistakes. There are wars happening these days. Lot of wars are happening all over the world. So many thousands of people from the Middle East have been forced to come back to India. So much of injustice, right? So much of injustice. People are blaming this one, this president, that president. People are blaming. Correct? So, what do you think? Are there some mistakes happening in this world? What's your opinion? What? Mistakes of human beings. Okay, fine. So, is the Lord responsible for the mistakes of the human beings? No. So then somebody may say, but if the Lord wants, He can control all these things, right? Why there should be so much war, so much of distress, so much of suffering? Why all this is happening? If the Lord wants, He's in full control. He can stop all these things. What's your answer? Okay, good point. Yes, He does not intervene with the free will of the jiva. Yes. And ultimately, so whatever is happening is ultimately all based on the jiva's desires, which he makes according to his free will. Yes, his independence. Misuse of little independence. So therefore, Sutta Goswami in the first canto, this is first canto, third chapter, text 36. One of the qualities of the Supreme Lord he describes is Amoga Leela. Amoga Leela means there are no mistakes. Yes, he's spotless, spotless. No mistakes in the Lord's creation, in the Lord's activities. Everything is perfect. So we see imperfectness because we are seeing with our very, very limited vision. That is why we think, okay, this is going wrong, that is going wrong. But it's all perfect. That does not justify our becoming hard-hearted. Okay? So we definitely need to feel compassion, we definitely need to do whatever is the needful. But at least we should have faith that there are no mistakes happening. Everything is perfectly happening according to the plan of the Lord. So therefore, if we understand that, Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, He is the controller of all the universes, of all the planets and of all the jivas. He is the supreme controller, and at the same time He is Suridam Sarvabhutanam. He is the best well-wishing friend of every living entity. So if He is the best well-wishing friend, then can He do something which is harmful to the living entity? No. He is the best well-wishing friend. So whatever He does is for the best interest of the living entity. So therefore, it is all perfect. It is all perfect. So when we don't understand this, then we lose our shanti. If we understand this, then there will be shanti. Gyatva mam shantim ruchyati. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada called that the peace formula. So then there can be shanti. But if we don't understand this and we try to figure out everything, what is happening, why this is happening, this one is doing wrong, that one is doing wrong, this one is doing corruption, that one is cheating, this one is... So if we try to figure out everything that's happening in creation and try to rectify everything that is happening in creation, then we are going to land up in serious anxiety. So therefore one has to understand that so many reversals in life, which even saintly persons have to undergo, are all the plan of the Lord. But who can understand the plan of the Lord? Who can understand? Yes, nobody. Even the greatest of philosophers cannot understand the plan of the Lord. This is first canto, 9th chapter, text 16. Bhishma Dev is telling. Very difficult to understand. Even Bhishma Dev cannot understand. He is Mahajan, right? So therefore, when there are reversals in life, one has to accept this is the plan of the Lord. For whatever reason, I cannot understand. In this context, there's one beautiful purport. We'll give reference to that. Somebody can open. So this comes in the pastime of Indra and Prithu Maharaj. We have already covered that in the 4th canto. So this is 4th canto, chapter chapter 20. Chapter 20. And text 35. I'm just 1 second. We'll just read this and then. Wait 1 second. What is the translation?
King Prithvi worshipped the demigods. King Prithvi worshipped the demigods, the great sages,
Um,
inhabitants of Prithvi.
no, I think so. It is not the 20th chapter, it is the 19th chapter. 4th canto.
Lord Brahma's purpose was stop the performance of these spectacles. For they have induced Indra to introduce so many religious aspects.
30.
Line बताइए मुझे क्यों लेंगे line? याद है?
ये थोड़ा आगे आएगा. हाँ बोलो, कौन सा है वो? 35. 35 में नहीं है. 34. Yes. Yes, that's correct. It's not 35, it's 34. Yes, so this, yes, 4th canto, 19th chapter, text 34. So this Lord Brahma is telling to Prithu Maharaj. Lord Brahma continued, I'm reading 33. Let there be good fortune to both of you, for you and King Indra are both part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you should not be angry with King Indra, who is not different from you. Both of you are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, so don't be angry on Indra. And what's the highlight verse is the next verse, 34. My dear king, who's telling? Brahma is telling to Prithu Maharaj. Do not be agitated and anxious because your sacrifices have not been properly executed due to providential impediments. What impediments? Providential impediments. Let's see what is in the Sanskrit. In the Devahatam. So it is happening by Deva. Kindly take my words with great respect, Brahma is telling, because it's very difficult, right? Very difficult situation. Who's the culprit? Indra. And Brahma, top authority, topmost authority, Brahma, is coming, and rather than chastising Indra, he is giving good advice to Prithu Maharaj. Now, Prithu Maharaj could have immediately argued, right? He could have argued, अरे मुझे क्या बोल रहे, उनको बोलो ना. Who's the culprit? I'm not the culprit. He's the culprit. He's stealing the horse. He's put different sannyas vesh and doing all nonsense. Please advise him. Why are you advising me? Correct? He could have immediately argued. So therefore, Narad Muni is saying, kindly take my words with great respect. We should always remember, Brahma is giving instruction, not only to Prithu Maharaj, to all of us is giving instruction. We should always remember that if something happens by providential arrangement, we should not be very sorry. The more we try to rectify such reversals, the more we enter into the darkest region of materialistic thoughts. Purport. Sometimes the saintly or very religious person also has to meet with reversals in life. It's not just materialists. Even saintly or very religious person also has to meet with reversals in life. Such incidents should be taken as providential. Although there may be sufficient cause for being unhappy, please note Prabhupada's words, although there may be sufficient cause for being unhappy. There's good cause for being unhappy because, well, things don't happen according to my plan. One should avoid counteracting such reversals. For the more we become implicated in rectifying such reversals, the more we enter into the darkest regions of material anxiety. What? Darkest regions of material anxiety. Lord Krishna has also advised us in this connection. We should tolerate things instead of becoming agitated. These are the words of the Shastra and the words of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. So therefore, we should always understand that I cannot understand. This is the meaning of inconceivable. Inconceivable means what? I cannot understand. So humility means to accept this fact that I cannot understand everything with my teeny brain, as Prabhupada said. So therefore, we should understand that the Lord has a plan. And not that as soon as something happens which is against my plan, oh, so much of agitation. Why this happened? He's responsible, he is responsible, he is responsible. And I am going to rectify it because I am the great person who can rectify everything. No. The result of such behavior will simply be what? Enter into the darkest regions of material anxiety. One will simply put oneself into very complicated situations of anxiety. One anxiety leading to another anxiety and another anxiety and another anxiety, and then darkest region of material anxiety. And one will be in total darkness and bewildered and doesn't know where to go, frustrated, disappointed. Krishna consciousness does not work. Better I find some Radhakund Baba. This is what happens. We are not exaggerating. This is exactly what happens. So therefore, one has to always think with a cool head. Prabhupada said that. Think with a cool head. So with a cool head, one should contemplate on what Shastra is saying, what the Acharyas are saying. The Shastra is not meant simply for the Bhakti Vaibhava exam. Passing Bhakti Vaibhava exam is peanuts. But there are real exams in life. There are real exams in life where Shastra plays a crucial role for application. That is the actual test. How much we have understood Shastra. Bhakti Vaibhava is almost coming to an end, correct? But actually how much we have understood Bhakti Vaibhava, how much we have understood the Bhagavatam, that will be tested when? When in real life situations, how do we respond? How do we act? Do we act in Vaishnava ways or do we act in Avaishnava ways? Do we act according to the principles of Shastra or do we act against the principles of Shastra? That will show how much we have actually understood Shastra and realized Shastra. Not just theoretical knowledge. We have told this point many times. It's not about theoretical knowledge. How much we have realized the Shastra will be seen in testing situations when we are put in such reversals where there is sufficient cause for being unhappy and agitated. Now here, Prithu Maharaj had every reason to be unhappy and agitated, and he could have raised a big protest. And he could have said, Brahma, you're being unfair, this is unjust. Why are you telling me all these things? Go and tell that Indra. He could have said all that. But after hearing all this, Prithu Maharaj does not speak. Single word he does not speak. He totally accepts what Brahmaji said and simply obeys what Brahma has said. What was the result?
The Supreme Lord was pleased with King Prithu and personally came.
Yes. Normally Lord Vishnu comes when the sacrifice is complete. But here, even though the sacrifice was incomplete, Lord Vishnu personally appeared. And in the next chapter, 4th canto, 20th chapter, text 16, if I'm not mistaken, Lord Vishnu personally says, I am captivated by what? Yes, by your exceptional qualities. By your exceptional qualities. I'm captivated. I'm not captivated by sacrifice, tapasya, this, that. I'm not captivated by all those things. So therefore, the Shastra again and again tells us that Krishna is never captivated by material competence. But the Lord again and again reminds us that the Lord is captivated by good qualities and character. That Krishna himself has spoken in the Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter, verses 13 to 20. Krishna himself has said, if you want to make me happy, you develop these good qualities. Correct? That whole section of the 12th chapter. And here again, this is a live example for that, where Lord Vishnu himself is telling. So therefore, in the material world, in material sphere, competence is given great value. Of course, even materialistic people do understand. This saying has come from the materialistic people only. If money is lost, nothing is lost. If health is lost, something is lost. But if character is lost, everything is lost. This has come from materialistic people. They also accept this fact. But because of so much of degradation, now nobody cares. This some old timer has given the saying. But they accept that how important is character. And so therefore, and then what to speak of Vaishnavism and the Bhagavad Shastras, it's very clear that it is not about our competence that we can impress the Lord. We cannot, there's no question of tiny, insignificant, conditioned souls of Kali Yuga trying to impress the Lord. There is no question. Correct. The Lord has much more competent people to render service. But what he really appreciates is the character. And that is what, through these examples, we can understand. So the important point we're trying to drive home is that we cannot understand everything that's happening. Okay, what is providential? Providential means ultimately the plan of the Lord. And that is something we cannot understand. So the Lord has a purpose for everything. And we have to accept that. And therefore, we have to perform our respective duties and try to progress in our own devotional service and not try to figure out everything that's happening. We cannot. So, better is relax. Tolerate things instead of becoming agitated. Adityanam.
Prabhuji went to accept the authority and like in the case of Dhruv Maharaj, when Narad Muni approached, he rejected his statements. So when to accept the authority, when to reject him.
Okay, taking the same example of Dhruva Maharaj. So Narad Muni told him what? Okay, so Narad Muni told him, "Oh, you're a child, this is a time to play, go, why you want to perform all these austerities?" Really? But Dhruva Maharaj, he was determined. Why? Yes, he said, I'm Kshatriya, I want this kingdom. So, this is my blood, I want the kingdom. So then what happened? Yes, so Narad Muni is only telling these things. So then Narad Muni, he was testing Dhruva Maharaj for his determination, correct? He was testing. And so then when he passed the test, then what happened? Then Narad Muni gave him instructions. And what did Dhruva do? He followed. And the result of following was? Within 6 months, he had darshan of the Lord. So, you are asking the question, when to follow authority, when not to follow authority. As long as an authorized person is bona fide in disciplic succession and is in good standing in devotional service, it is imperative for our own well-being to follow. That is what the Shastra says. Again and again the Shastra tells. We need to follow. We may clarify. If we don't understand why such an instruction is being given, we can clarify. This is one instance here. We find that Brahmaji, he gives, he gives the instruction, then he explains the instruction. Why he's telling Prithu Maharaj to stop. He's giving a very difficult instruction, correct? It's not an ordinary sacrifice like you do for Diksha ceremony or something like that. This is what? This Ashwamedha Yajna, and so expensive, so much of things. It's no ordinary thing like, somebody tells, okay, you stop your center or something like that, Or even more petty than that is, okay, change your service, stop doing this service, do some other service. No, all these are very petty things. These are very petty things. This is Ashwamedh Yajna, which is so huge and so cumbersome and so difficult. And this top authority all of a sudden lands over there and he says, stop. Now, Prito Maharaj, he could have said, अरे क्या पागल हो गया क्या है इतना खर्चा किया है He could have said, no? No, but Brahmaji is giving all this philosophical reasoning, is giving all this. And then Prito Maharaj, not one word of argument. He knows this Brahma who definitely knows the plan of the Lord. And so he accepts. And we see the result. Similarly, we find later on, no, we have already covered this, right? Last time we covered it, na? In the first part of the 5th canto. Priyavrat Maharaj. Same thing, right? So Priyavrat Maharaj, again same thing. Totally against his will, against his desire. Very difficult situation. Very difficult situation. He wants to remain in the renounced order. And now there again the same problem, this Brahmaji. All the time creating problem. So this Brahmaji comes and says, no, you have to accept the kingdom, get married. Jabardasti. Jabardasti marriage. How many of us will be ready? If somebody does Jabardasti marriage, how many of us will be ready? If somebody is determined to remain brahmachari. But then there also Brahmaji gave series of verses explaining philosophically that how the first thing that Brahmaji says is, I am delivering to you the plan of the Lord. That was the first thing he tells him. I am coming as a representative of the Supreme Lord. I am giving you the plan of the Lord. So please follow. And Priyavrat had full faith. Narad Muni had full faith. And at the end of that philosophical discussion, Priyavrat accepts. There also we find not one word of argument. Priyavrat, Narad Muni, not one word of argument. Rather, it is described that very happily they accepted Brahmaji's instruction. And they went back. And the result was, again, Priyavrat, he went back home, back to Godheads. So even though there was some disturbance in between, but because he followed the instruction of the Supreme Lord, so therefore he could overcome the obstacles. He could overcome the obstacles and finally attain success. So therefore, on the path of devotional service, there is no room for unethical behavior, immoral behavior, bad character. There is no room for all these things. There is absolutely no room. This will be absolutely displeasing to the Supreme Lord. The Srila Prabhupada also often quotes, even the Bible says, only the meek and humble can enter into the kingdom of God. Srila Prabhupada quotes from the Bible. So, therefore, that is the Siddhanta. And if we are interested in making spiritual progress and saving ourselves from so much of anxiety even while living in this material world, then one has to follow the injunctions of the Shastra, right? So yes, there is always room for discussion. There's a room for um, discussion in a very honorable way, in a very respectful way. There can be some discussion if there are some um, grievances or misunderstandings. There can be discussions, but at the end of the day, one needs to accept. One needs to accept the instructions of higher authorities and follow. That is what will help us make spiritual progress. Otherwise, it will be, we may get prayers. We may achieve our immediate demands, our immediate desires may fulfill, but we lose out on the Shreyas. Or as the English saying goes, penny wise, pound foolish. That is what will happen.
Second question, Prabhuji. When to tolerate, when to not. For example, Parikshit Maharaj, when it came to Kali punishing mother cow, he didn't tolerate.
Correct. Why he didn't tolerate? आप ही बोलो. Why he didn't tolerate? आप बोलो ना. आपने पढ़ा है ना. फर्स्ट कैंट हो गया, अभी पांचवा स्कंद चल रहा है, आपको पता होना चाहिए. Why he did not tolerate?
Prabhuji, when it comes to our...
नहीं, आप पहले प्रश्न का उत्तर दो ना. Why he did not tolerate?
Because he was doing injustice to mother cow.
Exactly. And Parikshit Maharaj was? King. Yes, king, Kshatriya. So as his duty, he didn't tolerate. Because how can one try to injure or kill mother cow? So cow is supposed to be protected. So therefore, as a Kshatriya, he was performing his duty. So that was, it was not an injustice to him personally. It was against dharma. And it was his duty as a Kshatriya to protect dharma.
So when it comes to us, we need to tolerate. And when it happens to others, injustice, then we should not tolerate.
Well, that cannot be a blanket statement. Well, it is true that, as Srila Prabhupada also says in his lectures, that when it comes to personal injustice or personal harassment or whatever, one can tolerate. But then one has to follow Trinadapi Sunichana. But then when other Vaishnavas are being put into difficulty, or when the Lord's institution is being put in difficulty, when the Lord is being blasphemed, then yes, then no Trinadapi Sunichana, right? Then one should be like fire, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Nityananda Prabhu was hit by Madha, he was like fire, angry, called the Sudarshan Chakra. But that was the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which we are not. So therefore, as far as we are concerned, so even though other Vaishnavas are being put into difficulty, or maybe the Lord is being blasphemed, of course, so many people are doing it anyways, and the Lord's institution may be in difficulty. The point is, we cannot take law into our hands. Just like Srila Prabhupada has spoken all these things in his lectures. Everything is there. So just like if he has committed a murder, to someone and I happen to know it, so then I say, "Arey, how did you commit the murder? I'll murder you. Can I murder? Can I murder him? No, I cannot take law into my hands. Correct? So in murder cases, you may be knowing when a murder case takes place, then it goes to court, and then to resolve that, how many years it takes to come to a final judgment. How many years it takes? There have been cases in India, right? How many years? And even though they say the case is on a fast track, special case, in the past there was one, you may be knowing, fast track, special case, it took 12 years. So if it is normal, then you can imagine how many years it will take. The point is, why it takes so many years? Because they have to make it foolproof. proper evidence, this, that, all investigations, then only they can take action, right? So the point is, we have no right to take law into our own hands. Otherwise, we will be responsible for taking law into our own hands and we will be incriminated, we will be punished for doing that. So therefore, the ultimate Siddhanta is everything has to be done according to Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Everything has to be done in consultation with senior Vaishnavas and with proper understanding of the Shastra. Everything has to be done, right? So if we, as we were telling yesterday also, see, material nature is absolutely strict. The laws of material nature are absolutely strict. We cannot escape. We cannot escape. We make mistakes, we will have to get the reaction. Srila Prabhupada very often gives the example of the Manduka Muni. You know Manduka Muni. What was his mistake? Yes, in his childhood, innocent child, he pierced the ant with a thorn or something like that. And for that he was going to be punished with that shuli. So Prabhupada quotes that example to illustrate this point, that how laws of material nature are very stringent. We cannot escape. So therefore, one has to, that's why we are studying all these things. All this study is not fun. It's not fun. Life is a serious business, especially in the human life we were discussing. Human life is a life of responsibility. So Srila Prabhupada has written in his purports, and we can see it happening now. So many wars, every day, hundreds of people are dying. Literally hundreds of people are dying. You can see that. It's not fun. Why it is happening? Prabhupada has written in his purports. You see in this city or you go to any other big city, in all four directions, what do you see? What do you see? All sinful activities, right? All sinful activities. So what is the result of that? That is what we are seeing. That's what I'm saying. Nothing to be surprised about what's happening. It's nothing to be surprised. It's all there in the Shastra. Because people are performing such sinful activities, then they have to face it. They have to face the reactions. Prabhupada has already written that in his purports. So then mass killing. They are killing animals, mass killing, then now they will be killed. That's what's happening. So this is human life. And so when we become devotees as Vaishnavas, and we are studying all this Shastra, we have to be extremely careful. We have to think twice before we do anything, before we say anything. What to speak of saying? The Paramatma knows even what we are thinking. What about saying? Even what we are thinking, Paramatma knows. So what can we escape? We can't escape anything. So therefore all these things are there in Shastra.
It is said that Gaurang Mahaprabhu came because Krishna is God, but he doesn't know the process of devotion.
He doesn't know.
He cannot give the process of devotion because he doesn't have it.
From where did you hear this?
From devotees on their side.
Okay, fine. So, but everything has to be corroborated with Shastra. Okay, somebody may say something, that is fine. But then it has to be corroborated with Shastra, right? Okay, in any case, you go ahead with your question.
Shastra is saying that he has this process of devotion in his heart. How is that possible?
Actually, you're talking about this verse, huh? Therefore, within my heart can be found the process of devotional service which is meant for the devotees. Who's saying this? Yes, Lord Rishabdev, the Supreme Lord himself is saying. So the Supreme Lord is correct or somebody else is correct? Huh?
Then why Gaurang Mahaprabhu appeared, Prabhuji?
Okay, now that is a whole big lecture now. Why Gaurang Mahaprabhu? And I suppose that must have been covered on Gaur Purnima.
And the one of the cause was this one, because Krishna cannot give.
No. See, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can he be lacking in anything? Na? He is complete. So he has everything. He is the source of all bhakti. From where bhakti comes? Who is the source of all bhakti? Who is the source of all bhakti? Yes, Srimati Radharani, Ladhani Shakti. She is the source of all bhakti. But who is Srimati Radharani? Krishna's energy. Correct? Ladhani Shakti is Krishna's energy. So from where is the bhakti coming ultimately? Coming from Krishna. Right? Everything ultimately is Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Pravartati. So there you can read the commentaries to that verse. The Acharyas explain. Matta Sarvam. Sarvam means both everything material and spiritual. So whatever bhakti is there, everything is, all the spiritual process, everything is coming from Krishna. And Krishna himself is speaking here.
Then why do you say Prabhuji Radhar Mahima Prem Rasa Sima?
Yes.
He doesn't know.
Okay, so anyway, since you're asking, we will. Why it is said? Because the Anarpita charim chirat karina avtina kalau samarpyutam unnata ujjvala rasa swabhakti shriyam. So this unnata ujjvala rasa, this is vraja prem, and that too specifically madhurya prem. This we never find Krishna ever giving it so easily. Just like today we were hearing Mukund Madhav Prabhu was explaining that how even Lakshmi ji could not get entrance into Rasadhans, correct? Even she could not get entry. And but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is offering all the fallen conditioned souls of Kali Yuga an entrance into that Rasadhans. Just imagine. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is offering. That is why it is Anarpita Charim Chirat. Unheard of. Unheard of. What has not been even offered to Lakshmi ji is being offered to the conditioned souls of Kali Yuga. That is why Namo Mahavadanyaya. So, as Srila Prabhupada would very often say, Krishna was very strict. Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam shan. First you surrender, then I will take care. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, without seeing much qualification, no qualification, which part of the world, nothing. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is offering this Vraja Prem in Madhurya Ras to all the conditioned souls of Kali Yuga simply by chanting Hare Krishna and following the simple process. That is why Mahavadanyaya. Such a simple process, but what is being offered is the highest. That is why. That Radhar Prema, that is what is being offered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is why all this is inconceivable. Very difficult to understand. Okay? Okay? Fine. So, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada therefore says, in this verse, the words idam shariram mama durvibhavyam are very significant. Generally, we experience two energies, material energy, spiritual energy. So, when we see a body full of spiritual energy, it is very difficult for us to understand how the spiritual energy can have a body. How the spiritual energy can have a body. It is said that Lord Rishabhadev's body is completely spiritual. Therefore, for a materialistic person, it is very difficult to understand. For a materialistic person, the completely spiritual body is inconceivable. What to speak of materialistic? Can we understand a spiritual body? What is a spiritual body? We have no experience of that. So we cannot understand. Therefore, it is inconceivable. So therefore, what we have to do? We have to accept the version of the Vedas when our experimental perception cannot understand a subject. Very important statement. We have to accept the version of the Vedas when our experimental perception cannot understand a subject. So when we cannot understand something, then we simply have to accept the authority. So, Ishvara Paramakrishna, Sachidananda Vigraha. So, therefore, further down Prabhupada says, the Mayavadi philosophers are completely unable to conceive of a spiritual body. They say that the spirit is always impersonal, and whenever they see something personal, they take it for granted that it is material. Okay, so therefore, as Srila Prabhupada explains, they impose their own material conception on the Supreme Lord. That is the problem. Okay, so, and that's what most people do. So, I cannot lift up Govardhan Hill, so the Supreme Lord also cannot do. So, that is imposing one's own material conception on the Supreme Lord. So that is the problem. Therefore, avajananti mamoda manushim tanum ashratam. So, in the next paragraph, unintelligent people think the Supreme Lord accepts a body composed of material energy. We can easily understand the material body, but we cannot understand the spiritual body. Therefore, Rishabdev says, idam shariram mama durvibhavyam. In the spiritual world, everyone has a spiritual body. There's no conception of material existence there. In the spiritual world, there is only service and the receiving of service. There is only savior, seva, and sevaka. The person served, the process of service, and the servants. These three items are completely spiritual, and therefore the spiritual world is called absolute. There is no tinge of material contamination there. Okay. Being completely transcendental to the material conception, Lord Rishabdev states that his heart is composed of dharma. And what is dharma? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharnam vraja. In the spiritual world, every living entity is surrendered to the Supreme Lord and is completely on the spiritual platform. Although there are servitors, the served and the service, all are spiritual and variegated. At the present moment, due to our material conception, everything is durvibhavya, inconceivable. Being the Supreme, the Lord is called Rishabha, the best. In terms of Vedic language, Nityo Nityanam, we are also spiritual, but we are subordinates. Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is the foremost living entity. The word Rishabha means the chief or the supreme and indicates the supreme being or God. Okay. Any other clarifications on this discussion? Yes, Vishwanath Chakravarti is also quoting from the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam. Sadhavo Hridayam Mayam. Who said? Yes, Lord Vishnu to Durvas Muni. The devotees are my hearts. So, what do the devotees have? What do the devotees have? Bhakti, bhakti. So, therefore, the bhakti is in the Lord's hearts. What is contrary to bhakti exists behind me, far away. This means that my mind is not in those things. Because of this, I am called the best of all, Rishabh. Okay. Text number 20. Tasmad bhavanto hridayena jataha sarve mahiyam samamum sanabham aklishta buddhya bharatam bhajadvam shushrushanam tad bharanam prajanam. Pado.
My dear boys, you are all born of my heart, which is the seat of all spiritual qualities. Therefore, you should not be like materialistic and envious men. You should accept your eldest brother Bharata, who is exalted in devotional service. If you engage yourselves in the Bharat service, your service to him will include my service, and you will rule the citizens automatically.
Again, a very important siddhanta which Lord Rishabdev is telling. So he's telling you're all born of my heart, right, which is seat of all spiritual qualities. So therefore, when the heart of the Supreme Lord is bhakti, and so therefore, everyone born of the Supreme Lord, definitely they will also have bhakti. They're supposed to be bhaktas, they're supposed to be devotees. So therefore, he is telling that you must not be materialistic and envious. Tasmad bhavanta hridayena jata. You're born from a heart where there is bhakti. So therefore, all of you sarve mahiyamsam, all of you are the best. You have bhakti. And therefore, you should act like devotees. Aklishta buddhya. How? Aklishta buddhya. With your intelligence, without material contamination. And so without that material contamination, which Srila Prabhupada is expanding, so a prominent symptom of material contamination is envy. So therefore Prabhupada is adding that. Do not be like materialistic and envious men. And therefore you must follow sanabham. You have to follow your brother. So when he's giving instruction, follow your brother. So normally there's a tendency amongst brothers. What? Envy, competition. We find that amongst brothers. So they may immediately say, why should we follow this brother? Why should we follow? So they may ask. So therefore he's saying, don't be envious. Don't be envious. But if you follow your brother, then what will happen? Bhajadvam shushrushanam tat bharanam prajana. Then you will be able to bharanam prajanam. Then you will be able to rule the citizens. If you engage yourselves in Bharat service, your service to him will include my service. You don't have to do something separately for my service. Your service to Bharat will include my service and you will rule the citizens automatically. This is a very important principle. Let's see what Prabhupada is saying. In fact, yes, Prabhupada is giving quite a long purport. Okay, we'll read some important aspects. In this verse, the word Hridaya indicates the heart, which is also called Ura, the chest. The heart is situated within the chest, and although instrumentally the son is born with the aid of genitals, he is actually born from within the heart. A very important principle Prabhupada is writing. According to the heart situation, the semen takes the form of a body. What does this mean? According to the heart situation, the semen takes the form of a body. What does this mean? Yes, based upon the consciousness, then one will attract that type of soul and then one will get that type of body. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, when one begets a child, his heart should be purified through the ritualistic ceremony known as Garbhadan. Rishabdev's heart was always uncontaminated and spiritual. Consequently, all the sons born from the heart of Rishabdev were spiritually inclined. Nonetheless, Rishabdev suggested that his eldest son was superior and he advised the others to serve him. All the brothers of Bharat Maharaj were advised by Rishabdev to adhere to Bharat service. The question may be asked, why one should be attached to family members? For in the beginning, it was advised that one should not be attached to home and family, right? Rishabdev gave these instructions before. However, it is also advised, Mahiyasam pada rajobhishekam. One has to serve the Mahiyan, one who is very spiritually advanced. Mahat sevam dvaram aur vimukte. By serving the Mahat, the exalted devotee, one's path for liberation is open. The family of Rishabdev should not be compared to an ordinary materialistic family. Bharat Maharaj, Rishabdev's eldest son, was specifically very exalted. For this reason, the other sons were advised to serve him for his pleasure. That was to be their duty. Okay? So because Bharat Maharaj was so exalted, so therefore Rishabdev is telling you simply follow him. And by following him, you will automatically serve me. And that is the way, that is the Siddhanta, how one can please the Supreme Lord, which the Supreme Lord himself has again and again repeated. And so Prahlad Maharaj's prayers and Jad Bharat speaking to Maharaj Raghuna. So everywhere we find the Siddhanta. Mahisam Pada Rajobhishekam. So by serving the great devotees, one serves the Supreme Lord. Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado. That is the principle. And so therefore, and that is what Srila Prabhupada also expected within our society. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada emphasized so much on cooperation. And Srila Prabhupada's instruction to all the devotees was that every year come to Mayapur and discuss what? What? Unity in diversity. This was Prabhupada's instruction. Unity in diversity. So very diverse society, but Srila Prabhupada wanted unity, cooperation. This is what he wanted. And so therefore, and so here, there was every reason for the other brothers to protest and say, why should we follow this, that? But he's giving instruction. The Supreme Lord, as the Father, he's giving instruction. You cooperate with your eldest brother, and by cooperating, what will happen? I will be pleased. That will be as good as my service. And we again know the famous example from the 4th canto. Yes, the Prachetas. This is 4th canto, 30th chapter, text 8, where Lord Vishnu again, the Lord Vishnu appeared. Why? Sauhardena, because of the friendly behavior amongst the Prachetas. Lord Vishnu said, I'm very pleased because of your friendly behavior, and therefore you can ask for any benediction. So therefore, this is the Siddhanta. So here also he's saying, you cooperate, you follow the instructions of your eldest brother, then that is as good as my service, and by that automatically the citizens will be pleased. This is again in corroboration with fourth canto, 20th chapter, where Lord Vishnu gives instructions to Prithu Maharaj, and he says, if you follow the instructions of the Brahmanas, you follow the instructions of Shastras, and rule the citizens accordingly, then all the citizens will be pleased. This is the scientific way to please subordinates, watering the root of the tree. So if you don't water the root of the tree, you cannot expect the other parts of the tree to be nourished, correct? So similarly, the way to please subordinates is not by somehow manipulating them to please them. That is not the way. Because who is seated in their hearts? Yes, the Supreme Lord is seated. If you please the Supreme Lord, then those subordinates will also automatically be pleased. Krishna will make them pleased. If we try to use our own manipulation and techniques to please subordinates, it does not work. It will not work. This is science. The science is please the Supreme Lord first. How to please the Supreme Lord? By following the instructions of the Shastras, by following the instructions of the sadhus, of the spiritual masters. So when one follows those instructions, Supreme Lord is pleased. When Supreme Lord is pleased, subordinates will be pleased. That is the Siddhanta. Here also same thing Lord Rishabhdev is telling. So you cooperate with Bharat Maharaj, you follow his instructions, then I will be pleased, my service is included in his service, and then the citizens also will be pleased. Then you'll be able to rule over the citizens. See, all this is science. We cannot manipulate. We have to understand these things. We cannot manipulate. So therefore, if managers and leaders of the... Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, how many letters he has written to leaders and managers? First business, chant 16 rounds attentively, follow the morning program. How many letters you can see? You can do a search if you want. How many letters he has written? Spiritual society has to be run on spiritual strength, not material techniques. Material techniques may be useful, but the material techniques cannot substitute spiritual strength. The society is based, it's a spiritual society, it is based on spiritual strength. And so therefore, there's another reference you can search in one letter. Srila Prabhupada has written, maybe you can run a material society, but you cannot run a spiritual society without proper Shravanam and Kirtanam. Prabhupada has written. So therefore, spiritual society means it has to be on spiritual standards. And that is what Srila Prabhupada emphasized. The moment, and that's why when Srila Prabhupada departed from this world, and the moment the spiritual standards were compromised, everything collapsed. Everything collapsed. Spiritual society means it has to run on spiritual standards. And that's why Srila Prabhupada emphasized again and again, repeatedly, he emphasized the spiritual standards. And Srila Prabhupada has written again in the first canto, first chapter, Srila Prabhupada has written what? Material well-being follows spiritual well-being. First spiritual well-being, then material well-being will follow, not the other way around. So sometimes we think, no, my material talents and techniques, that is what is more important, and that is what should be given more prominence. Well, spirituality, what this chanting Hare Krishna will do? No, it doesn't work that way. That's our faith. That's the faith we should have. This is spiritual society. Spiritual society means spiritual standards. That is how the society is going to run. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, you just do the spiritual activity, preaching the holy name, you do that. Management will follow like a shadow. This is Prabhupada's statement. You can search the reference if you want. So, one cannot underestimate these statements of the founder Acharya and think that, no, I am better than him. Therefore, humility. You humbly accept first what the founder Acharya has said. And that is what he is telling, Lord Rishabdev is telling. You follow, you cooperate with Bharat Maharaj, and then everything else will happen nicely. So, the Supreme Lord was advising Bharat Maharaj to be the chief ruler of the planet. This is the real plan of the Supreme Lord. In the Battle of Kurukshetra, we find that Lord Krishna wanted Maharaj Yudhishthira to be the supreme emperor of this planet. He never wanted Duryodhan to take the post. As stated in the previous verse, Lord Rishabdev's heart is Hridayam Yatra Dharmaha. The characteristic dharma is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. Surrender unto the Supreme Personality of God. To protect dharma paritrana sadhunam, the Lord always wants the ruler of the earth to be a devotee. Then everything goes on nicely for the benefit of everyone. As soon as demon rules the earth, everything becomes chaotic. And that's what we are finding these days. Demons ruling the world, then everything is chaotic. And of course, Prabhupada is writing here itself. At the present moment, the world is inclined towards the democratic process, but the people in general are all contaminated with modes of passion and ignorance. Consequently, they cannot select the right person to head the government. The president is selected by the votes of ignorant Shudras. Therefore, another Shudra is elected, and immediately the entire government becomes polluted. If people strictly follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita, they would elect a person who is the Lord's devotee. Then automatically there would be good government. Rishabdev therefore recommended Bharat Maharaj as the emperor of this planet. And now, important statement. Serving a devotee means serving the Supreme Lord. Serving a devotee means serving the Supreme Lord. For a devotee always represents the Lord. These are all siddhantas, eternal siddhantas. We have to always remember and follow. So even though it may be an austerity in the conditioned state, oh, who is this devotee? He's like me only. Why should I follow? So like these people also could have said, no, he's our brother only. We have seen from childhood, we have seen how many faults he has. Why should we follow? They could have said that. But no. So similarly, same thing. So we may think, oh, he's devotee like me only. What's so great? No, but he has been given responsibility. Oh, he may be devotee, but he has been given responsibility. Now he has been given responsibility. So therefore he is representing the Supreme Lord. Therefore we need to follow. We need to cooperate. Even though I may not like it as an austerity, I need to cooperate. Cooperate means what? Cooperation means it's not love. Correct? So cooperation means though I may not like, but still I'm ready to bend. I'm ready to mold myself in such a way so that I go according to his will and plan. And that is the reason why the Pandavas were dear to the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada writes in the first canto purports. Why the Pandavas were dear to the Supreme Lord? Yes, that's the key word. Because they were malleable in the hands of the Supreme Lord. Malleable. They were ready to mold themselves, bend themselves according to the plan of the Supreme Lord. So this is, anyway, one devotee was giving a nice example. Anyway. So just like, anyway, I have some practical realization on that. So he said that if the back is very stiff, what happens? There's backache. One of the main causes of backache is a stiff back. The muscles are not sufficiently flexible because of lack of proper exercise. Correct? That's the cause of backache. So when one is stiff, there is ache, there is pain. But if it's very flexible, I don't know, you have seen some photos or videos of this Iyengar, the yoga expert Iyengar. You have seen? How he would bend his body. Practically he could make his body into like a circle. So flexible, his body. He passed away at some 96 years or something, right? He lived a very long life. And till the last breath, he was very healthy. But anyways, ultimately everyone has to die. That's another story. But the point is that when the body is very stiff, it leads to pain. So similarly, if we are very stiff and we don't bend according to the Lord's plan, according to the devotee's plan, what will be the result? Pain. Then there will be a lot of pain. Pain for oneself and pain for others also. So therefore, that is what we have to understand. That I cannot understand the Lord's plan. So whatever is that plan, let me bend. Let me be flexible. then one can live peacefully, shanti. Serving a devotee means serving the Supreme Lord. For a devotee always represents the Lord. When a devotee is in charge, the government is always congenial and beneficial for everyone. This is the instruction which Lord Rishabdev is giving to his sons. Now, Vishwachak Thakur puts the same thing in a little more graphic way. And he says, Prabhupada is included in all his points, but then he puts it like a conversation. So the sons, they could. So he has given instruction. What instruction Lord has given? You should worship your brother, Sanabham, Bharat. But so now the other sons say, but you have said that one should not have affection of wife, children, and wealth in the house. After forbidding attachment to wife, sons, and brothers, why do you now teach this? So then the Lord says, Bharat is the best of the great devotees. I have also said that service to the devotees is the cause of bhakti and liberation. Now then the other sons say, how can we worship him since he is equal to us as brother? Good question, right? How can we worship him? He is equal to us as brother. So then the Lord says, you should not have material vision. Important point. You should not have material vision. Worship with pure intelligence. So then the boys say, we worship you because you are our father. You are our father and also the Supreme Lord. We serve Narada and other great devotees because they are the cause of bhakti. And because we are princes, we should protect the citizens. Then the Lord says, by worshipping Bharat, worship of me and protection of citizens is accomplished. This is my desire. No more argument. The Lord says, this is my desire. So then they follow. Okay. So now the next. Bolo.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, Bharat Maharaj, on what standard he is better devotee than 9 Paramhansas? Because they never fell down. Bharat Maharaj fell down.
So that's why the Lord is saying, don't have material vision. That's a very important point. Don't have material vision. You know why Bharat Maharaj fell down? You know that? Vishwachak Thakur explains. In fact, we discussed it in the fifth canto, first chapter, 5th verse. In the commentary to that, Vishwachak Thakur explains. Bharat Maharaj's fall down was the desire of the Supreme Lord just to teach all of us a lesson that how as sadhakas we should be extremely careful not to have material attachment. This is the lesson which the Lord wanted to give all of us, and Bharat Maharaj was used as an example for that. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada, he gives the well-known analogy that the mother teaches the daughter-in-law through the daughter. That is the Siddhanta. And therefore the Lord teaches the world through his devotees. To teach this Siddhanta, Bharat Maharaj fell down. Therefore we should not have material vision. That is also the Lord's plan. And therefore, when the Lord is saying he is the best and all of you should follow. Finished. There is no argument. There is no analysis. Accept. Who is speaking? The Supreme Lord is speaking.
So this vision has to be applied only in the case of Bharat Maharaj or in general in our day-to-day life?
Okay. In day-to-day life, the general vision which we have for all devotees, towards all devotees, the general vision that we need to have is told by Srila Rupa Goswami in the 6th verse to the Nectar of Instruction. Correct? What is the 6th verse of the Nectar of Instruction? Drishte svabhava janitair vapushasya dosher na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pashed gangam basam na khalu buddhudafena pankir brahma dhravatvam apagachyati nira dharmai. So drishte, everything depends on drishti, perception. Na prakritatvam. Iha bhakta janasya pashet. Don't see the devotees with a material vision. Na prakritatvam. Don't see with a material vision that this is Indian Vaishnav, American Vaishnav, European Vaishnav, or Gujarati Vaishnav, or Odia Vaishnav, or whatever. So don't see with material vision. Don't see faults with a material vision. See the spiritual aspect, and the spiritual aspect is that ultimately within every body is the spirit soul, which is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And what to speak of every devotee? Every devotee is trying to serve the Supreme Lord and is extremely dear to the Supreme Lord. That is the vision we need to have towards every devotee. And so therefore, even though there may be faults, the faults need to be ignored. Just like when one sees the full moon, there are spots, but then we don't put focus light on the spots. We put focus on the bright light of the moon and appreciate that. That should be the vision towards devotees and Vaishnavas. And that is also corroborated by the Supreme Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita 9 chapter 30th verse. Apichet suduracharo vajatema manyabha sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasita. Even though he may have committed sudurachar, but if he is seriously continuing in the practice of devotional service, it is my order, it is my instruction, you have to consider him a sadhu. That is the vision we need to have. This is what the Shastra says.
Then what is a materialistic devotee, Prabhuji?
What is a materialistic devotee? Okay. So a materialistic devotee is one who is definitely a devotee, but he has some material contamination. As we see in the 3rd canto, 29th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Kapila has spoken about 3 types of devotional service, correct? Devotional service which is contaminated by the modes of ignorance, passion, and goodness. So a materialistic devotee is a devotee. He's practicing devotional service, but he also has some material contamination. But then Srila Prabhupada also has given the analogy of one analogy is this. That just like a small child, he was playing, he's very muddy, but now he's taking bath. So now he's muddy, but it's just a matter of time, he'll become clean. That's one analogy. Yes, other analogy is of the fan. So when you switch off the fan, then the fan still rotates for some time. So similarly, but the switch is off. So similarly, one is practicing devotional service, but the material contamination which was there previously, that continues for some time. It's just a matter of time. So that has to be the vision. That has to be the vision. And therefore we find Srila Prabhupada also, even though his disciples were all sort of new and so much of contamination, things were there, but still Srila Prabhupada very greatly respected his own disciples. His own disciples, Srila Prabhupada so much respected them, always took sides with them, and always encouraged them, very compassionate. So that is the vision of Vaishnav. That is the vision of Vaishnav. Okay. So the Vaishnava's business is not this fault-finding business. That is not Vaishnava's business. So therefore, a Vaishnava should be very careful in his dealings with other Vaishnavas. And therefore, one thing is, therefore spiritual life is like walking on razor's edge. A little inattention and there'll be bloodshed. So therefore, one has to be very careful. Now, in this context, I know we are a little bit, not too much, but a little bit digressing from the track. But still, to put things in context and to bring out certain important principles for our own practical lives, I'm giving references to some other pastimes. So we see in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam, we have the pastime, well-known pastime, we all know the pastime of Maharaj Chitraketu, right? So Maharaj Chitraketu, he was flying in his airplane, and then he sees Lord Shiva sitting with Mother Parvati on his lap and addressing great saintly persons like Brahma, the 4 Kumaras, and Narad Muni, all these great personalities were there. And then what does Chitraketu Maharaj do? Yes, he commented, he had good intentions. And he commented, oh, just see this. How amazing. That was the words he used. How amazing. He's amazed. Lord Shiva, Mahadev, he's sitting with his wife on his lap. Amazing. So he just commented that way, a little maybe in an amused way, maybe a little bit of smile, laughter, a little sarcastic, whatever. And Lord Shiva and all the others present hardly bothered. But so now, what Mother Parvati said is very important, because this is a total devotee situation. This pastime is a total devotee situation, correct? Lord Shiva is a devotee, Chitraketu Maharaj is devotee, all very exalted devotees, not ordinary devotees also. Chitraketu Maharaj is devotee, and all the others present, Brahma, Narada, all of them are devotees. It's total devotee situation, right? Therefore, it's very applicable for us. And so now, Chitraketu Maharaj has commented, Mother Parvati got offended. Okay? And now she's about to curse him. But before that, what she says. So this is 6th canto. This is 6th canto, 17th chapter. And I think so it is some 12th or 13th verse from there. Sixth canto. Yes, 17th chapter, 13th verse, right? Yes, 12th. So now, Chitraketu Maharaj spoke something a little sarcastic, and Mother Parvati also reciprocates by also speaking very sarcastically. You can see her words, they are also very sarcastic. So what she says, alas, okay, no, there's one verse before that, right? Yes, 11. The goddess Parvati said, alas, has this upstart, this is the important point she's making, has this upstart now received a post from which to punish shameless persons like us? Total sarcastic language. All the verses, sarcastic language. Punish shameless persons like us? Has he been appointed ruler, carrier of the Lord of punishment? Is he now the only master of everything? She's asking all rhetoric questions. Rhetoric, sarcastic questions she's asking. And then next verse she says, alas, Lord Brahma, who has taken his birth from lotus flower, does not know the principles of religion. You see the sarcasm? He does not know. Nor do the great saints like Brigu and Narada, nor the 4 Kumaras headed by Sanat Kumar. Manu and Kapila have also forgotten religious principles. All these great personalities have forgotten religious principles. I suppose it to be because of this that they have not tried to stop Lord Shiva from behaving improperly. They have all forgotten religious principles. Therefore, though Lord Shiva is behaving improperly, they did not stop him. Poor fellows, they forgot. See the sarcasm. And then she says, this Chitraketu is the lowest of Kshatriyas, for he has impudently overridden Brahma and the other demigods by insulting Lord Shiva, upon whose lotus feet they always meditate. Lord Shiva is personified religion and the spiritual master of the entire world, and therefore Chitraketu must be punished. And in this purport, Prabhupada is writing, all the members of the assembly were exalted brahmanas and self-realized souls, but they did not say anything about the conduct of Lord Shiva, who was embracing goddess Parvati on his lap. No, none of them spoke. Chitraketu nonetheless criticized Lord Shiva, and therefore the opinion of Parvati was that he should be punished. And then in the next verse, she says, this person is puffed up because of his achievements, thinking, I am the best. He does not deserve to approach the shelter of Lord Vishnu's lotus feet, which are worshipped by all saintly persons, for his impudent thinking himself greatly important. And Prabhupada is writing in this purport. If a devotee thinks that he is very much advanced in devotional service, a devotee never thinks. If a devotee thinks that he is very much advanced in devotional service, he is considered puffed up and unfit to sit beneath the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. Today Mukul Mahaprabhu was speaking on the Lord's lotus feet. So, if one is puffed up, he is not qualified. Again, this instruction by Lord Chaitanya is applicable. Trinadapi suni chena, tarorapi sahishnuna, amani namanadena, kirtaniya sadahari. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord. And then Prabhupada writes, unless one is humble and meek, one cannot qualify to sit at the lotus feet of the Lord. Very important. Unless one is humble and meek, one cannot qualify to sit at the lotus feet of the Lord. And 15th verse, she pronounces the curse. O impudent one, my dear son, now take birth in a low sinful family of demons, so that you will not commit such an offense again towards exalted saintly persons in this world. And this purport is very important. One should be very careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of Vaishnavas, of whom Lord Shiva is the best. While instructing Srila Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described an offense at the lotus feet of Vaishnava as Hathi Mata, mad elephant. When mad elephant enters a nice garden, it spoils the entire garden. Similarly, if one becomes like a mad elephant and commits offenses at the lotus feet of Vaishnava, his entire spiritual career is halted. His entire spiritual career is halted. One should therefore be very careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Mother Parvati was justified in punishing Chitraketu, for Chitraketu impudently criticized the Supreme Father Mahadev, who is the father of the living entities conditioned with this material world. The goddess Durga is called Mother, Lord Shiva is called Father. And the next statement, though a short statement, is actually like a very important guideline for devotees Prabhupada is giving. If we simply follow this one statement, we can be saved from so much of trouble. If you remember this one statement, it will really help you. And personally, I always try to meditate on this statement, this instruction which Srila Prabhupada has given for devotees. And the statement is, a pure Vaishnav, we are all trying to be pure Vaishnavas, correct? A pure Vaishnav should be very careful to engage in a specific duty without criticizing others. This is the safest position. Please try to remember this. I think so we can repeat it. A pure Vaishnav should be very careful to engage in his specific duty without criticizing others. This is the safest position. Yes, safest position. Do one's own duty, mind your own business, and don't criticize others. Otherwise, if one tends to criticize others, he may commit the great offense of criticizing a Vaishnava. Right. So, these are all very important points that Srila Prabhupada has mercifully given in his purports. And it's our duty to read these purports and to abide by these purports. And that's how we'll make spiritual progress. Otherwise, if we don't follow these things, the result will simply remain neophytes. And as a little humorously it is said, what do neophytes do? They fight. Correct? Neophytes fight. Yes. So then we'll remain neophytes. If we don't follow these statements of the Shastra, we'll remain neophytes. And then the entire society will be affected. The entire society will not make progress. And then devotees will not feel inspired to remain in the society because they feel that so many are neophytes. Though, of course, Srila Prabhupada has given that instruction, even if you think they're neophytes, you remain within ISKCON, right? But still, the point is, if you want to actually inspire devotees, the new devotees, the existing devotees, if you want to really inspire them, then it's our duty to elevate ourselves. As Srila Prabhupada said, at least try to come to the Madhyam platform. At least try to come to the Madhyam. Don't remain Kanishta. So if you don't follow what the Shastra is saying, we'll remain Kanishta. And then nobody will feel inspired. And then everyone will think, oh, the process doesn't work, impractical, we have to go somewhere else, things like that. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada has given all these instructions. It's up to us to read these and follow them. This is for our own benefit. So why did we discuss this? What? Yes, material vision, correct. Yes. So I hope your question is answered. Yes. Okay, good. So he has given this instruction. And now, in the next few verses, Lord Rishabdev is explaining why, he's further explaining now why they should follow Bharat Maharaj. What is the position of Bharat Maharaj? What is the exalted position of Bharat Maharaj? Why they should follow? That is what he's explaining in the next few verses. And for that, he's giving a chronological gradation of living entities to establish how the Vaishnava is the topmost, how Bharat Maharaj is the topmost, and how they should follow. To explain that, he's giving a chronological gradation of living entities, and that's what we find in the next few verses. This was already discussed by Lord Kapila in the 3rd canto, but then he's also discussing. Okay, please read the translation of the next verse.
Of the two energies manifest, spiritual and the dull matter, beings possessing living force, vegetables, grass, trees, and plants are superior to dull matter, stone, earth, etc. Superior to non-moving plants and vegetables are worms and snakes, which can move. Superior to the worms and snakes are animals that have developed intelligence. Superior to animals are human beings, and superior to human beings are ghosts, because they have no material bodies. Superior to ghosts are the Gandharvas, and the superior to them are the Siddhas. Superior to Siddhas are the Kinnaras, and superior to them are the Asuras. Superior to the Asuras are the demigods, and of the demigods, Indra, the king of heaven, is the supreme. Superior to Indra are different direct sons of Lord Brahma, sons like King Daksha, and supreme among Brahma's son is Lord Shiva. Since Lord Shiva is the son of Lord Brahma, Brahma is considered superior, but Brahma is also subordinate to me, the supreme personality of Godhead. Because I am inclined to rule the Brahmanas are best of all.
Yes. So, as Vishwanath Chakravarti commenting on the verse, he says, in order to teach that the Brahmanas should be served, he shows that they are best among all people in these 4 verses. Okay, so that's what he wants to show. The Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas are the best. Okay, so as Srila Prabhupada also writes the same point. In this verse, the Brahmanas are given a position superior to that of the Supreme Lord. The idea is that the government should be conducted under the guidance of the Brahmanas. Although Rishabdev recommended his eldest son Bharat as emperor of the earth, he still had to follow the instructions of the Brahmanas in order to govern the world perfectly. The Lord is worshipped as Brahmanya Deva. So that is the Siddhanta the Lord wants to establish. That how the king always needs to follow the Brahmanas. And then who is a Brahmana? Then Srila Prabhupada is explaining. The Brahmana is recognized with the qualities such as Shama, Dhamma, Satya, Titiksha and all that. And then Prabhupada is explaining how in Kali Yuga the executive is not selected by very intelligent people, nor is he guided by qualified Brahmanas. Consequently, chaos results. The mass of people should be educated in Krishna consciousness so that according to the democratic process, they can select a first-class devotee like Bharat Maharaj to head the government. If the head of the state is headed by qualified Brahmanas, everything is completely perfect. And then he is describing how the evolutionary process indirectly mentioned. Now in the next paragraph, he's explaining how the two energies, material, spiritual, nityo, nityanam, chetanas, chetananam. The conclusion is that everything, both material and spiritual, is generated from the Supreme Being. From the evolutionary point of view, perfection is reached when the living entity attains the platform of Brahmana. Brahmana is a worshipper of the Supreme Brahman. Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. And the Supreme Brahman worships the Brahmana. Brahmana worships the Supreme Brahman, and the Supreme Brahman worships the Brahmana. In other words, the devotee is subordinate to the Supreme Lord, and the Lord is inclined to see to the satisfaction of his devotee. A Brahmana is called Dvija Deva, and the Lord is called Dvija Deva Deva. He is the Lord of the Brahmanas. Okay, 23. Please read the translation.
O respectful Brahmanas, as far as I am concerned, no one is equal or superior to the Brahmanas in this world. I do not find anyone comparable to them. When people know my motive, after performing ritual according to the Vedic principles, they offer food to me with faith and love through the mouth of a Brahman. When food is thus offered unto me, I eat it with full satisfaction. Indeed, I derive more pleasure from food offered in that way than from the food offered in the sacrificial fire.
Right. So this also was discussed in the 4th canto, Prithu Maharaj's instruction. Next.
The Vedas are my eternal transcendental sound incarnation. Therefore, the Vedas are Shabda Brahma. In this world, the Brahmanas thoroughly study all the Vedas, and because they assimilate the Vedic conclusions, they are also to be considered the Vedas personified. The Brahmanas are situated in the supreme transcendental mode of nature, Sattva Guna. Because of this, they are fixed in mind control, Shama, sense control, Dhamma, and truthfulness, Satya. They describe the Vedas in their original sense and out of mercy, Anugraha. They preach the purpose of the Vedas to all the conditioned souls. They practice penances, tapasya, and tolerance, titiksha. And they realize the position of the living entity and the Supreme Lord, Anubhava. These are the 8 qualifications of the Brahmanas. Therefore, among all living entities, no one is superior to the Brahmanas.
Okay, so the Lord himself is explaining why the Brahmanas are superior. Not because of the birth. Why they're superior? Yes, because of the qualities. So he's describing 8 qualities of the Brahmanas. And so, as Prabhupada writes, this is a true description of a Brahmana. A Brahmana is one who has assimilated the Vedic conclusions by practicing mind and sense control. Okay? So he just does not theoretically know the Vedic conclusions. He has assimilated. You know what the difference between digestion and assimilation? Assimilation means after the food has been digested, then it's mixed with the various enzymes and the juices and everything, and then it is absorbed into the bloodstream. That means then one gets benefit out of the food. Right? If the nutrients are not absorbed, one may eat, but if the assimilation does not take place, one will not get benefit. So similarly, the Vedas have to be assimilated. That means they have to be realized. If one simply dumps the knowledge, just like if one simply dumps the food, but it's not digested and assimilated, then it will simply come out, right, from the other end. The body will not receive benefit. So similarly, if one simply dumps a lot of information, simply the head will become heavy with a lot of information. But there will be no transformation. If for the transformation to take place, the assimilation has to take place, the realization has to take place. And how that will take place? By practicing mind and sense control. So, following the instructions of the spiritual master, for that controlling the mind and senses is required. Correct? So the spiritual master is giving instructions which are not very palatable, which are not according to the my interest, then one will not follow. Correct? So then there is no realization. So therefore, in order to follow the instructions, one has to control the mind and senses. So therefore Prabhupada is writing, a Brahmana is one who has assimilated the Vedic conclusions by practicing mind and sense control. Okay. So see, this is a wrong position to sit in a classroom. So if one is sitting behind, it is very difficult to concentrate. So therefore, one should sit in front. Hare Krishna. So I don't know if you can provide some chairs that side. Ah. This is Maya's lap. So further down, Prabhupada writes, by studying all the Vedas, one should come to understand the transcendental position of Lord Sri Krishna. One who actually assimilated the essence of the Vedas can preach the truth. Okay, only when one assimilates, then one can actually preach. A Brahmana should take pity on the people and preach Krishna consciousness in order to elevate them. Okay. And Prabhupada is concluding the purport by saying the Brahmanas are very dear to the Supreme Lord due to their high sattvagun qualities, and they also engage in welfare activities for all conditioned souls in the material world. And maybe the temperature is also not so appropriate. Achha. Okay. Okay, read 25. Next.
I am fully opulent, almighty, and superior to Lord Brahma and Indra, the king of the heavenly planets. I am also the bestower of all happiness obtained in the heavenly kingdom and by liberation. Nonetheless, the Brahmanas do not seek material comforts from me. They are very pure and do not want to possess anything. They simply engage in my devotional service. What is the need of their asking for material benefits from anyone else?
Yes. So now, so after establishing that the Brahmanas are supreme, then now he talks about the quality. He has already spoken about the qualities of the Brahmanas, but here he is specifically talking about how the Brahmanas do not seek material comforts from me. They're very pure and do not want to possess anything. They simply engage in my devotional service. Akinchananam mai bhakti bhajam. That's what Prabhupada is focusing on. The perfect Brahmanical qualification is stated herein, Akinchananam mai bhakti bhajam. The Brahmanas are always engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. Consequently, they have no material wants, nor do they possess material things. So now, the Lord is not just speaking about only Brahmanas. What is speaking about? Vaishnavas, who are the topmost Brahmanas and are engaged in devotional service. Okay, so the Lord has finally established that the Vaishnavas are the best. Amongst all the Brahmanas also, the Vaishnavas are the best because they are fully engaged in devotional service and therefore they are akinchananam. They do not want to possess any material things. Of course, today's Bhagavatam class, that was the essence. So, and then Prabhupada is also quoting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nishkinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajanon Mukasya. Those who actually want to return back to Godhead are Nishkinchan, that is, they have no desire for material comforts. Further down, Brahmanas who are pure Vaishnavas always engage in the Lord's service and are devoid of any desire for material gain. Okay, morning we were hearing. Even if they are given the position of Indra or Brahma or even they are given Brahmanda, but still the Vaishnavas are not interested. The Brahmanas do not worship demigods like Lord Brahma, Indra or Lord Shiva for any material comforts. So this is the position of Vaishnav. He is least interested in material things. And what to speak of petty posts and positions in this contaminated, fallen, insignificant place? Who cares? Vaishnava is one who does not even want the post of Brahma. And what to speak of positions of this world in Kali Yuga? Condemned. Who cares for this? Insignificant. this is Vaishnav. So, one has to understand these things. Such petty things these are, and which will disappear in a few years. And in Kali Yuga especially, as Prabhupada also says, any moment one can die. Life is so temporary. So, who cares about these material things? They do not even ask the Supreme Lord for material profit. Therefore, it is concluded that the Brahmanas are the supreme living entities of this world. And then Prabhupada is quoting from Lord Kapila's teachings. Okay. The Brahmanas are always dedicated to the Lord's service with their bodies, words, and mind. There is no better person than a Brahmana who thus engages himself and dedicates himself to the Supreme Lords. 26, please read.
My dear sons, you should not envy any living entity, be he moving or non-moving, knowing that I am situated in them. You should offer respect to all of them at every moment. In this way, you offer respect to me.
This also has been discussed by Lord Kapila in the 29th chapter of the 3rd canto. But then here again is making this point. You should not envy any living entity, be moving, non-moving. So, because now we established Brahmanas are the best, Vaishnavas are the best. So, all other living entities are insignificant. So, I can disrespect them, correct? No. That is why the Lord is clarifying. Just because Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are the best does not mean you disrespect other living entities. No. You have to respect everyone because every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna. Knowing that I am situated in them, you should offer respect to all of them at every moment. In this way, you offer respect to me. So, how can we offer respect to the Supreme Lord? By respecting all his parts and parcels. Very important Siddhanta. And if you remember, Lord Kapila in the 3rd canto, he describes that if somebody does not respect the living entities and he is doing deity worship, what Lord Kapila said? His deity worship has no meaning. His deity worship is false. Lord Kapila very clearly said that. If somebody is not respecting the living entities as parts and parcels and he is doing deity worship, Lord is least interested in that deity worship. Yes, it is just like pouring butter on ashes. So Lord is least interested. He is hardly pleased by that. So how much we show respect to the Supreme Lord is shown by how much we show respect to his parts and parcels. And what to speak of Vaishnavas. If we don't show respect to the Vaishnavas, the Lord is least interested in our devotional service. And we know the well-known pastimes of, there are quite a few pastimes, but one pastime comes to mind of Sripad Ramanucharya. So he had sent his disciples to two devotees he wanted to visit. And one was rich person, one was poor person. First they went to the rich person's house. And then the rich person, he did not welcome these disciples. He was busy making arrangements. What Ramanucharya said? Sripad Ramanucharya refused to go to that place. Why? Because he didn't show respect to the devotees. Ramanucharya said, I'm not interested. He doesn't know how to show respect to the devotees, I'm least interested. He didn't go. This is the Siddhanta, which the Lord himself is speaking about. So if one thinks I will please the Supreme Lord and at the same time disrespect the Vaishnavas, it just doesn't work. And here the Lord is not even saying all the Vaishnavas, he is saying every living entity. And that is what Mrigari showed through his own example, right? Mrigari showed how he was respectful even to the ants. And of course, Srila Prabhupada also showed through his many pastimes how a Vaishnava is respectful to every living entity. And what to speak of Vaishnavas? So that is the Madhyam platform, correct? That is the difference between the Kanishta and the Madhyam. So the Kanishta thinks by worshipping the deity, he has become a very advanced devotee. That is what the Kanishta thinks, and he becomes proud. But he doesn't know how to respect the Vaishnavas. But the Madhyam is one who understands. and sees everyone in proper perspective and knows how to respect and deal with the Vaishnavas. That's a Madhyam Adhikari. And that's what we need to come to. We need to come to that platform by understanding these things. So this is, so Lord Rishabdev is saying, in this way, you offer respect to me. So Prabhupada is writing, in this verse, the word Vivikta Drigbi, meaning without envy, is used. All living entities are the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His Paramatma feature. Andantarastha Paramanuchayantarastham. So the Lord is situated in this universe as Garbhadaksha Vishnu and Shridaksha Vishnu. He is also situated within every atom. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. The Supreme Lord is situated everywhere, and wherever He is situated is His temple. Wherever He is situated is temple. And where is He situated? Everywhere. He is situated everywhere. And what to speak of every living entity? We even offer respects to a temple from a distant place, and all living entities should similarly be offered respect. This is different from the theory of pantheism, which holds that everything is God. Everything has a relationship with God, because God is situated everywhere. We should not make any particular distinction between the poor and the rich, like the foolish worshippers of the Narayan. Narayan is present in the rich as well as the poor. One should not simply think Narayan is situated among the poor. He is everywhere. An advanced devotee will offer respects to everyone, even to cats and dogs. But at the same time, it does not mean keep cats and dogs in the house. Right? So, one offers respect to the tiger, but does not mean one embraces the tiger. Of course, tiger will be happy. So one offers respect to everyone, but at the same time, one should know how to deal with everyone. So one should have that proper vision. So therefore, further down, Prabhupada is quoting Srila Madhvacharya, quoting from the Padma Puran. One who has clear vision and who is devoid of envy can see that the Supreme Lord is separate from all living entities, although He is situated in every living entity. Okay. So all this must be clearly understood. Vishwanath Thakur gives a nice point. He says, one should give respect to all living beings in order to destroy faults such as disrespect and envy. So how to overcome disrespect and envy? Show respect to everyone. That's how we can overcome these faults. And so this is the, as one devotee put it, this is the immunization factor or the vaccination for Vaishnav Aprad. The prevention for Vaishnav Aprad, how do we prevent a disease? Vaccine, correct? So the vaccine for Vaishnav Aprad is show respect to all living entities. If we have that respectful attitude towards everyone, and as Srila Prabhupada explains in his lectures, that therefore we call everyone as Prabhu, Master. So if we have that vision that everyone is my Prabhu, everyone is Master, everyone is better than me, and of course the Acharyas have exemplified that through their dealings and through their writings, just like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So, but if we have that respectful attitude towards everyone, then the possibility of Vaishnava Aprad becomes less. So that should be the attitudes. So, and that is what will save us from Vaishnava Aprad. Otherwise, the tendency is very strong. Okay? And finally, the last verse of Lord Rishabdev's teachings. He's giving the final instruction. What the sons should do and what everyone else should do. He's giving the final instruction. We'll recite this. Mano vachodre karane hitasya sakshat kritam me paribarhanam hi vinapumanye namaha vimohat kritantapashan vimoktumishet. The true activity of the sense organs, mind, sight, words, and all the knowledge gathering and working senses is to engage fully in my service. Unless the senses are thus engaged, a living entity cannot think of getting out of the great entanglement of material existence, which is exactly like Yamaraja's stringent rope. So this is what the final instruction is giving is, engage all the senses, mind, body, engage everything in my service, the Lord's service. Otherwise, one will be caught by Yamaraja's stringent rope. And Prabhupada is quoting Sarvopadi Vinirmukta. This is the conclusion of bhakti. This is the conclusive instruction also Lord Rishabhdev is giving. This is the conclusion of bhakti. All the time, Lord Rishabhdev has been stressing devotional service, and now he is concluding by saying that all the senses should be engaged in the Lord's service. So the 5 senses by which you gather knowledge, 5 senses which work, these 10 senses in the mind should be fully engaged in the Lord's service. Without engaging them in this way, one cannot get out of the clutches of Maya. And therefore, it's very important to be busy in the Lord's service, engaging all the mind and senses in the Lord's service. And if you're not busy, as Srila Prabhupada also said, idle brain, devil's workshop. So when one has free time, then the mind will work. And where the mind will go? Fault finding. That is the default setting. The default setting is fault finding. He is doing this, he is doing that, he is doing that. Look around for faults. That is the default setting. So therefore, and that is how Maya will entrap. So therefore, the best policy is keep oneself busy in Krishna's service, and that is how one can be free from the effects of Maya. So these are the instructions, very valuable instructions Lord Rishabhdev, the Supreme Lord, has given. And so it's up to us to study all this and follow. So we have a few more verses, the 35 verses of the chapter, another 7 or 8 verses remaining. Should we just complete them? Right? Though we said 1 o'clock. Huh? Few verses. I mean, how many of you feel we can go ahead for maybe 15-20 minutes? Okay, fine. I mean, if somebody has some urgent service, you can proceed. Okay, if somebody has an urgent service, you can proceed, no problem. But I thought it's better to finish this chapter today. Okay. We have finished the most important part. Now this is Lord Rishabhdev as Avdut. We cannot follow much of this. Okay, so read the translation next.
Sukadeva Goswami said, "Thus, great well-wisher of everyone, the Supreme Lord Rishabhdeva instructed his own sons. Although they were perfectly educated and cultured, he instructed them to set an example of how a father should instruct his sons before retiring from family life. Sannyasis who are no longer bound by fruitive activity and who have taken to devotional service after all their material desires have been vanquished also learn by these instructions. Lord Rishabhdeva instructed his 100 sons, of whom the eldest Bharata was very advanced devotee and follower of Vaishnavas. In order to rule the whole world, the Lord enthroned his eldest son on the royal seat. Thereafter, although still at home, Lord Rishabhdeva lived like a madman, naked and with
Naked,
naked,
Baba.
naked and with a disheveled hair. Then the Lord took the sacrificial fire within himself and he left
Brahmavarta
Brahmavarta
to tour the whole world. Okay, so as Shukdev Goswami is mentioning that already the sons, they were already having all the knowledge, they were cultured, they were perfectly educated, they had all that. But he instructed them just to set an example of how a father should instruct his sons. So to set an example, he has instructed. Of course, ultimately the instructions are useful for the whole world. That's why we are reading them now. And so it's applicable even to sannyasis, as Prabhupada writes. Then actually the instructions given by Lord Rishabhdev's sons were not exactly meant for his sons because they were already educated, highly advanced in knowledge. Rather, these instructions were meant for sannyasis who intend to become advanced devotees. Okay? So these instructions are meant for devotees who want to become advanced. Sannyasis must abide by Lord Rishabhdev's instructions. So we are all in the renounced order trying to become sannyasis. So Prabhupada is giving an instruction. Sannyasis must abide by Lord Rishabhdev's instructions while on the path of devotional service. And then he retired from family life. Okay, go ahead. Next. Huh?
The 9 sons of Rishabhdev,
Huh?
on their name 9 islands are there.
I don't think so. He gave the different islands to the different sons, but I don't think so.
One is Kushawar, Ilawar,
Acha. Possible, maybe.
Malay.
That's coming ahead, right? That's coming ahead. Okay. Read 29.
After After accepting the features of Avduta, a great saintly person without material cares, Lord Rishabdev passed through human society like a blind, deaf, and dumb man, an idle stone, a ghost, or a madman. Although people called him such names, he remained silent and did not speak to anyone.
Yes, so this was Avduts. So who's Avdut? Prabhupada is defining in the purport. In other words, one who has surpassed the rules and regulations of Varnashram Dharma is called Avdut. Such a person has already surpassed the clutches of Maya and he lives completely separate and independent. So he is on the transcendental platform. So therefore, he does not have to follow any rules and regulations. Next.
Rishabdev began to rule through cities, villages, mines, countrysides, valleys, gardens, military camps, cow pens, the homes of cowherd men, transient hotels, hills, forests, and hermitages. Wherever he traveled, all bad elements surrounded him, just as flies surround the body of an elephant coming from a forest. He was always being threatened, beaten, urinated upon, and spat upon. Sometimes people threw stones, stool, and dust at him, and sometimes people passed foul air before him. Thus, people called him many bad names and gave him a great deal of trouble. But he did not care about this, for he understood that the body is simply meant for such an end. He was situated on the spiritual platform, and being in his spiritual glory, he did not care for all these material insults. In other words, he completely understood that matter and spirit are separate, and he has no bodily conception. Thus, without being angry at anyone, he walked through the whole world alone.
Yes, so totally on the spiritual platform, no material bodily conception at all. Prabhupada is quoting Narottam Das Thakur, Deha Smriti Nahiyar Samsara Bandhan Kahatar. When a person fully realizes that the material body and the world are temporary, he is not concerned with pain and pleasures of the body. Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya. And the next paragraph, Idam Shariram Mama Durvi Bhavyam, from the previous verse. He did not at all possess a material body. Okay, we already read that. Rishabdev didn't possess a material body at all. So, what to speak of coming on the spiritual platform, coming above material platform? First of all, he didn't possess a material body, correct? But and for our understanding, it is mentioned like that he came to the spiritual platform. He did not at all possess a material body, and therefore he was tolerant of all the trouble offered to him by the bad elements in society. So he was not on the bodily platform at all. As Vishma Chakrakar also says, the word etasmin should not therefore indicate his body, but the universe, since his body is spiritual. Because the universe is temporary, it is called asat samsthane. As a unit, it is designated as the body of the Lord. He did not identify with that body composed of the universe. So he's giving that understanding that when it's said that he yes, it is said that he did not care about this, for he understood that the body is simply meant for such an end. He was situated on the spiritual platform. So Vishnu Chakrakar is explaining that body does not refer to Rishabdev's body because it's already spiritual. So that body is referring to the universe. In one sense, the universe is also the body of the Lord, correct? That we discuss in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter. So therefore, that is what he's saying. As a unit, it is designated as the body of the Lord. He did not identify with that body composed of the universe. If he were to identify with that body, which is the universe, composed of those who insulted him, he would lament, thinking, my body composed of the universe is contaminated by this great offense. He did not identify with that body, since he was situated in his own glory, his body of knowledge and bliss, with realization of his Chit Shakti belonging to his Swarupa and his Maya Shakti, which was not his Swarupa. Okay, so his body was totally spiritual, but he did not misidentify with the universe and the people living in that universe. That is what is the actual meaning.
Those who are doing all these things, throwing stone, passing stone, they must be getting offense for doing this.
Well, some reaction will be there. Some reaction will be there because, of course, they are ignorant. They are ignorant of Lord Rishabdev's position. They don't understand He is Supreme Lord. But still, ignorance of law is no excuse. So, some reaction they'll get, but it won't be counted like a Vaishnava Aprad or something like that because they don't understand that He is the Supreme Lord. But still, one is not even supposed to mistreat any living entity. So, therefore, some sinful reaction will be there. Okay. 31.
Lord Rishabdev's hands, feet, chest were very long. His shoulders, face, and limbs were all very delicate and symmetrically proportioned. His mouth was beautifully decorated with his natural smile, and he appeared all the more lovely with his reddish eyes, spread wide like the petals of a newly grown lotus flower, covered with dew in the early morning. The
Irises.
irises of his eyes were so pleasing that they removed all the troubles of everyone who saw him. His forehead, ears, neck, nose, and all his other features were very beautiful. His gentle smile always made his face beautiful, so much so that he even attracted the hearts of married women. It was as though they had been pierced by arrows of Cupid. About his head was an abundance of curly, matted brown hair. His hair was
Disheveled.
dishevelled,
Disheveled.
because his body was dirty and not taken care of. He appeared as if he were haunted by a ghost.
Okay, so even though he was very dirty externally, but still he was very beautiful. After all, Supreme Lord. So, yes, next, 32.
When Lord Rishabdev saw that the general populace was very antagonistic to his execution of mystic yoga, he accepted the behavior of a python in order to counteract their opposition. Thus he stayed in one place and lay down. While lying down, he ate and drank, and he passed stool and urine and rolled in it. Indeed, he smeared his whole body with his own stool and urine so that opposing elements might not come and disturb him.
Yes, so that's how he behaved, so that other people will not disturb him. Prabhupada writes, according to one's destiny, one enjoys allotted happiness and distress even though one keeps himself in one place. This is the injunction of Shastra. When one is spiritually situated, he may stay in one place and all his necessities will be supplied by the arrangement of the Supreme Controller. Unless one is a preacher, there is no need to travel all over the world. A person can stay in one place and execute devotional service suitably according to time and circumstances. When Rishabdev saw that he was simply being disturbed by traveling throughout the world, he decided to lie down in one place like Python, and thus he ate, drank, and passed stool and urine. So, yes. Okay, go ahead.
Because Lord Rishabdev remained in that condition, the public did not disturb him, but no bad aroma emanated from his stool and urine. Quite the contrary, his stool and urine were so aromatic that they filled 80 miles of the countryside with a pleasant fragrance.
So, Srila Prabhupada, in the lecture on the verse, he says, so this is very practical test for the avatars. So, you want to check whose avatar? Call him. Make him pass stool and urine and see whether it is fragrant. Practical test. So, and then Prabhupada, here in the purport and the lecture also, Prabhupada gives this example of cow dung. A person can keep stacks of cow dung in one place and will not create a bad odor to disturb anyone. We can take it for granted. Prabhupada is writing, we can take it for granted that in the spiritual world, stool and urine are also pleasantly scented. And we have no experience of spiritual world, so we have to accept what Prabhupada is writing. Indeed, the entire atmosphere became very pleasant due to Lord Rishabdev's stool and urine. But I think so we all have experience of cow dung, right? Cow dung, very pleasant smell wherever there's cow dung. Yes, those are staying on the farm have good experience. Yes. Okay, next, 34.
In this way, the Lord Rishabdev followed the behavior of cows, deer, and crows. Sometimes he moved or walked, and sometimes he sat down in one place. Sometimes he lay down, behaving exactly like cows, deer, and crows. In that way, he ate, drank, passed stool and urine, and cheated people in this way.
Hmm. Right. So he cheated people by behaving like an ordinary person, and they didn't understand that he's the Supreme Lord. Next.
O King Parikshit, just to show all the yogis, the mystic process, Lord Rishabdev, the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna performs wonderful activities. Actually, he was the master of liberations and was fully absorbed in the transcendental bliss, which increases thousandfold. Lord Krishna, Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva, is the original source of Lord Rishabdev. There is no difference in their constitutions, and consequently, Lord Rishabdev awakens the loving symptoms of crying, laughing, and shivering. He was always absorbed in transcendental love. Due to this, all the mystic powers automatically approached him, such as the ability to travel in outer space at the speed of mind, to appear and disappear, to enter the bodies of others, and to see things far away. Although he could do all this, he did not exercise these powers.
So he was showing the symptoms of prema, and so he's exhibiting all the symptoms of prema. And so for a devotee, he automatically gets all opulences, including mystic powers. So all the mystic powers automatically approached him, but he did not exercise these powers. Although he could do all this, he did not exercise these powers. And that is how the next chapter begins on that point. And Srila Prabhupada is talking about how the devotee is not interested in all these things. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami, Sakle Ashanta. A devotee is not all interested in these things because he is fully dependent on the mercy of Krishna. Okay. ठीक है. Thus, in the Bhagavan purpose of the 5th canto, 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Lord Rishabdev's teachings to his sons. Okay, so tomorrow we will discuss the 6th chapter. It's a small chapter. Only the initial part is important. He speaks something about mind control. So we'll discuss that tomorrow. So tomorrow what timing? 10:30 to 2. Actually we have said 10 to 2. ठीक रहेगा 10 o'clock? Or it's a bit too early? ठीक है 10:15 करेंगे. ठीक है 10:15 तक हो सकता है. Start प्रसादम at 9:30. You can come by 10:15. Not a problem. ठीक है ना? हाँ. Point is just like animals. Animals. What do animals do? Just roam around. He was doing the same thing. Just some few animals have been named. Nothing specific there. Huh?
Approached him. He's already having.
Yes, he's already having, but he's also behaving like a devotee here, right? So here he's behaving like a devotee, and then he is on the platform of prema. So therefore, when one is on that platform, then he gets all the mystic powers like that. So he's not behaving like the Supreme Lord. He's behaving like a devotee. So therefore, it's mentioned. Yes, but at the same time, the sight is not very good, no? So, so they're also seeing he's so dirty, covered with stool urine.
So he said that Prabhuji, when one gets the darshan of Lord, then his material attraction automatically goes away. Then still we find the very wonderful descriptions of Lord's vision here. But still many people are there doing offensive activities.
Because they could not understand.
The beauty of Lord is such that even Brahma cannot see the Lord in Shiv Sagar.
Hmm.
So then same Lord, why he, is it because Prithumara's austerity and his purity that all people could see him there in Prithumara's arena?
Okay, so you are asking why all people could see the Lord in Prithu Maharaj's sacrificial arena and why these people cannot recognize. That is the Lord's mercy. When the Lord wants, He reveals Himself. When the Lord wants, He will hide Himself. That's up to Him. So, in the case of Prithu Maharaj's sacrificial arena, the Lord wanted to reveal Himself. So, people could see. How many could understand that He is the Supreme Lord? That's another thing. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita, correct? So, there Srila Prabhupada explains how many people saw Krishna when he performed Leelas on this earth. Duryodhan saw, Shishupal saw, they saw, right? Could they understand that He is Supreme Lord? No. So simply seeing does not mean one understands.
So at Shiv Sagar also, Brahmaji understands that he is Lord, but he does not get his vision there.
Correct. He only hears the sound. Correct. So you're asking why?
Why?
Lord is Swarat. What can we say? When He wants to reveal, He shows. When He does not want, He does not show. That's up to Him. So there He revealed. Here He does not reveal. We have, this is what is called as inconceivable. Who are we to question the Lord's activities? Lord is Swarat. That's all. ठीक है ना? Fine. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. So please do try to come on time tomorrow. 10:15 a.m. will start. Hare Krishna.